Everybody. Good afternoon. Everybody, what's going on? As everybody comes into the room, I would encourage you to just ping 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, whatever those amount of people might be. Go ahead and welcome them into the stream. Today, we're continuing this journey. We're continuing this podcasting journey because, like I said before, I want to really help some people. I want to make sure that you all have the tools and the resources you need to successfully launch your podcast by my 33rd birthday, which will be January 25th. So we're 5 days out, 5 days out until my 33rd birthday. And that's my wife in the background yelling. So as we're here, I want to just introduce myself really quick. My name is Jonathan Jones. I'm the host of the Beyond the Ball podcast, as well as the creator of the Beyond the Ball room here on Clubhouse, where we focus on ultimately serving and supporting student athletes to provide them with all the tools, all the skills, and all the resources that they need to succeed beyond their degree. That's right, to succeed beyond their degree. So wherever you are right now, get your questions ready. If you have any questions about anything that we've covered up until this point, please drop your question in the comments if you're on YouTube streaming with us. But if you're on Clubhouse, please feel free to raise your hand and then you can come to the stage and ask your question, because I want to make sure that you all have what you need. You're getting value, making sure you're being able to enjoy the content, and then most importantly, apply it. Don't just enjoy it, apply it. Because I don't want people to just have great information, have the ability to start a podcast, have the topic to start a podcast, but then just sit on the idea or the concept. So really quick, I'm just going to go from a very high level view of some of the other topics that we've covered since we've started this journey about 9 days ago. So I first talked about the purpose of your podcast. So you having a reason, right? Why do you want to do this podcast? Do you want it to inspire people? Do you want it to entertain people? Do you want to ultimately add value to people? So these are a few questions to begin to think about. Then we talked about naming your podcast. How do you come up with a podcast name? Where do we look for podcast names? Where do we look to see if the name that we already have is taken? Right. And then we talked about cover art, we talked about naming the podcast, but we're oftentimes told we should not judge a book by its cover. But it's funny because we all do it and all have done it before. So we have to make sure that we get high level cover art for our podcast. And then we talked about mapping out the podcast, right? So understanding what's our schedule going to look like. When's our podcast going to be released? When can people expect to hear you? Is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? Is it Wednesday? Is it every day of the week? I don't know. You tell me, right? It's just all about you coming up with something that makes sense for you. And then we talked about the podcast formats, the solo hosted show, the interview show, the documentary style show. These are all things that we want to begin to think about. And then we talked about yesterday, I believe it was, the equipment that you need to start your podcast. What equipment do you really need to really start your podcast? I said there's other philosophies out there, but me personally, I believe that all you need is a cell phone, and all you need is the headphones with the mic speaker on there, or the microphone on the speaker. That's what I believe you need to start, at least for your first 5 episodes. Then after that, we might want to talk about upgrading equipment. So those are what we've talked about. And then this other point, we talked about where do I record my podcast? Where do I edit my podcast? I just talked through Anchor. I talked through GarageBand, Adobe Audition. And now we're at an exciting part today. Okay, we're up to speed for today. Where do I find music for my podcast? John, I want to have intro music. Where do I find music for my podcast? So that's an excellent question. I'm glad that you all actually asked that question, because there are a lot of different places you can find it. Okay. But one thing that you want to keep in mind is that you don't want to be sued in the process. Okay. And you easily can be sued if you take somebody's music off of YouTube, or you take your favorite artists, you download their tracks, and then you say, I'm gonna make this my music for my intro on my podcast. Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea until you get a cease and desist letter. So don't do that. So I want to give you two sites to where you can pull music for your podcast. Okay, 2 sites to where you can pull music for your podcast. The first site is called Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle is the title of the website. Audio Jungle. And the second website is called Audio Hero. So Audio Jungle and Audio Hero are 2 locations to where you can get music for your podcast. One thing I will say that take time and search through the music. One, make sure that the music really aligns with your show. Make sure the music evokes whatever emotion that you want it to evoke, right? Don't go and get music that's like slow motion style music or slow jam style music if you're wanting people to be amped up for your podcast. That clashes. Secondly, when using the music, I suggest that you allow the music to fade in and fade out, right? So in regards to fading out, I would say that as you're playing the music, you might want the music to start at a good point, and then you want it to fade out as you come in, right? So it'll be music going, and as it fades out, that's when you come in, because then it gives you that high level production quality. It gives you that feel like you're in the big studio, right? It gives you that feeling like you're big time, because I think you all are. I think you're real big time, and I think that's just one thing that will add to the work that you're doing, to the things that you're doing. So today, that's a brief training. That's really it. It's cut and dry right there. Like I said, the 2 sites are Audio Hero and Audio Jungle. But ultimately, there are so many other more sites out there that you can pull music from, download from. But some of these are subscription sites. So you might pay anywhere from like 10 to maybe like 20-ish, 10 to 20-ish maybe for the month. And then you get access to the audio files, the songs where you can download, see which ones you like, see which ones you don't, rule some out, take some. Or you can also purchase them individually. So you can get one track for like $1, one track for like $18. So understanding that if you can get them at that price, and when you purchase them, it'll be that price, you want to also be aware that somebody else might also buy those tracks. Actually, a lot of people might buy those tracks depending on the price. So just keep these things in mind. Keep these things in mind when it comes to you finding the audio that you want to put on your podcast. Keep it in mind that somebody else might have that same audio music. Somebody else might be using the same song as you. Don't feel bad about it. Don't be upset about it. Just get another song for one. Or you can just not use music at all. But the 2 sites I shared with you earlier, Audio Jungle and Audio Hero, are 2 great resources to get some quality instrumentals from. And then towards the end of your show, of course, that's when you let it fade in. So as your voice begins to go out, then you play the music and then it goes up. I'll give you all an example. Let me see. Don't want to play it too loud. But let's see. I know I have an audio file on here of my podcast. So we'll do this one for you, just so you all can get the full gist, the full range of what we're talking about with the intro music. So I'm going to play it like this. I want to make sure it comes through on the speaker, though. But I'm going to get you all an opportunity to where you can hear it. You can really hear the audio come through. and then we'll go from there. But okay, let's see. And here we go. Here's an example of how you want it to sound on the intro, or this is an example of how it sounds for my intro. And then the sound should have been fading, but that's when I usually come and I say, "What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, ballers?" And welcome to another episode of Beyond the Ball. And then we go at it like that. But I just wanted to share that with you all really quick for today's training. We're going to go ahead and get ready to get out of here. But once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand if you're on Clubhouse, or if you have any questions on YouTube or you're streaming, then I would encourage you just to drop that in the comments, because I want to make sure, like I said before, I answer your questions so that I know what you're thinking, what you're going through, and to make sure that this added value to your life today. So if there's no questions and all hearts and minds are clear, we're going to get ready to go ahead and get out of here. But everybody, my name is Jonathan Jones. If you found value from this training, or if you just like about some of the topics that I typically talk about, I would encourage you to connect with me on Clubhouse. And if you're already on Clubhouse, I would encourage you to just scroll down and look at my Twitter, look at my Instagram. Feel free to follow me on there, and you can send me a DM and let me know if this was beneficial, or you can let me know any questions or things like that that you would like me to cover for tomorrow's training. But meantime, between time, like I said before, I'm the host of Beyond the Ball, where we help you succeed beyond your degree. Take care, family.